Radio Now 100.9's Indy Connection with Emily Metheny.
Hello, I'm Emily Metheny, your host. This week, we're continuing with the theme of finding the helpers here in Indianapolis who are helping with the COVID-19 pandemic. First, I had an opportunity to talk with Tamara Winfrey-Harris, Vice President of Community Leadership and Effective Philanthropy with the Central Indiana Community Foundation.
We are a roughly $820 million foundation that has been around for more than 100 years. CICERF, along with its affiliates, the Indianapolis Foundation and the Hamilton County Community Foundation, we do three things. So one, we give grants to not-for-profits who are doing a good job in the community. We do community leadership to help the community be the best that it can be. And we help philanthropists see their values come through in their philanthropy and make their philanthropy as powerful and effective as it can be. And many people have likely heard that we have a new mission as of the last year or so, and that's that, we want to deploy everything we have, people, ideas, and investments to make Central Indiana a place where every individual has access to the opportunity to meet their full potential, no matter their place, race, or identity.
And with everything that's been happening around the world, Central Indiana has been impacted by COVID, and the Community Foundation's been working to respond. Can you tell me a little bit about the responses you've been taking?
So we've taken a three-prong approach to the COVID crisis. One, people may have heard that we are part of a larger cohort of funders, including the United Way and Lilly and Nina Mason Pulliam and other organizations that are part of a grant process called CICERF. And we are working to make sure that the organizations that are going to be on the front lines of the COVID crisis are being supported. Secondarily, we have also created our own flexible fund called the Neighbor Relief Fund for both for Marion County as well as for Hamilton County. And in those areas, we are specifically looking to reach grassroots organizations that are going to help individuals and sort of stand in the gap. We know that there is assistance coming both from the federal and the state government, and we know that a lot of organizations, community centers, places like that are working to help people, but we know sometimes that help doesn't come quickly enough. So we're working through our funds to focus on the grassroots and individuals who are working during this time of crisis. And then the two other things that we're doing are, one, we're knowing we're going to have to be flexible with our grant making and our grant rounds. What looked like a priority for the community may very well not be a priority when this is all over. Mm-hmm. So we know that we're going to have to be flexible and just rethink those things as we move forward so that we're responding to the most important needs of the community. And then lastly, we have more than 400 fund holders, and we're helping to counsel them and make sure they know what's going on in the community and where the greatest need and opportunity is so that they can make smart philanthropic decisions.
Excellent. And with the grant system, if someone's not familiar with how the grant system typically works, how is this responsive grant system different?
So we wanted to make this as accessible as possible. We want there to be fewer barriers to accessing this, and we wanted to make sure that the money could go out relatively quickly because we're in the middle of an emergency. So typically, we have 3 grant rounds a year, and there's perhaps like a 3-month process between application. Is a pretty lengthy, not difficult, but a lengthy application and a reporting process, and it goes through 3 months of vetting and then approval. This process has a more simple application process, and the money is moving more quickly.
Excellent. And it's organizations within Indianapolis and Marion County who are able to apply for those responsive grants, correct?
Yes, it is. And if people are listening and they want more information, they should go to CICF.org.
And to help people who are looking for those community grassroots services that CICERF is, the CICERF funds and the neighborhood relief funds are being given to, how can they find where to get those services that are being supported?
So for CICERF, I would direct people to the United Way of Central Indiana website. And for our funds, I would direct people to, again, CICF.org. We are always transparent about where our grants go. We are also trying to collect on our site as much as we can information about other relief and services that are available as we find them, so that people can benefit from that information.
And when I was looking through your website today, it was on one of the slider images. It was, you have a list on the website giving people options of if they need, there's food access issues, employment issues. You have resources on the website that can help people, right?
Yes, to direct them to help. So we specifically don't do those things, but we are making an effort to direct people. We are also conducting our own survey about every 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks or so, reaching out to nonprofit organizations, finding out what they're doing, what services they have available, and where their challenges are. Also, we can be smarter about what's going on, and we can better direct people.
So it's an ever-evolving process to make sure the funds and the help is going to where it can benefit the most.
It really is, and I think, anyone watching this crisis knows that things are changing by the day and by the minute, and so we and everyone have to be very nimble and have to think innovatively and think about the people who are most vulnerable. We know that, and this specifically is the point of our relief funds, is that we know people who are vulnerable every day are going to be even more vulnerable during this crisis. People like seniors, people of color, people living in poverty, the LGBTQ community, all of those people are going to be more vulnerable. And so we need to make sure that those people look at the systemic problems that make those people more at risk every day, and make sure they're supported during this difficult time.
Is there anything else you'd like to add, Tamara?
I would just say for everyone to be safe out there, to make sure you are following the guidelines, social distancing guidelines, and I would encourage people to please communicate with us. The more information that we have, the more effective that we can be. And again, I would direct people to CICF.org if they want more information.
Julie Goodman is the CEO of the Indianapolis Arts Council, and she joined me by phone to talk about the emergency relief funds that the council is giving out to artists and organizations. But first, Julie told me a little bit about what the Arts Council does in Indianapolis.
So the Arts Council of Indianapolis is the lead advocacy and services agency serving arts and cultural organizations and artists in central Indiana. So we're kind of like the Indy Chamber, kind of like a chamber of commerce for the arts and cultural sector. And our work within that realm includes grant making. So we have a long-standing partnership with the city of Indianapolis to administer the city's annual grants program, which provides annual funding to 70 arts and cultural organizations in our city, and we're just very grateful for that partnership with the city. We also work with the city on public art and help coordinate public art efforts on behalf of the city and do a lot of work in the neighborhoods as well. We have an arts education partnership with IPS where we focus on supporting teachers and arts educators and making sure that they have access to resources within our arts and cultural community, and then also support, obviously, making sure every child in our IPS district has access to arts education experiences. And then we do support services for organizations and artists, professional development, and other kinds of resources that we provide to them to support them in their practice. And we own and operate the Indianapolis Arts Garden. Some people don't realize that that's part of the Arts Council, but we own and operate the Arts Garden and do all the programming in the Arts Garden, including all the performances that happen there and the community events. And Gallery 924 is also part of the Arts Council. And then finally, we have a website, indyarts.org, which is a community-wide resource for everyone to be able to know what's happening in our arts and cultural community. And we have some newsletters, and that feeds all of our social media efforts as well, just to make sure that the community is connected and aware of all of the amazing resources in our organizations and the events. And so just being that kind of a helpful source of information for the public and also for partners like you.
And so the Indy Arts Council has affected everyone who's in Indianapolis. If you've been through the Arts Garden, if you have a student who's with IPS or public art in general, so everyone's been impacted by what you do, even if they don't realize it.
Yeah, and that's okay. I mean, our work is really behind the scenes. You know, the heroes of the story for us and in our community and in the arts and cultural community are our arts and cultural organizations and our artists. And our mission is really to work behind the scenes to support them and create a culture and an ecosystem where they can thrive. So that's really our mission.
And with everything that's happening right now with the coronavirus, a lot of these organizations are being heavily impacted because we can't go out in Indianapolis right now. We can't go out and enjoy different events. And what is the Indy Arts Council doing to support the local artists and the organizations right now?
Yeah, so it is just like every sector. I mean, there's just not an individual, a family, a neighborhood, a business sector that it isn't affected by this. And the arts and culture sector in Indianapolis, the nonprofit sector, which is the sector that we support, contributes $440 million in annual economic impact in our city, and we serve over 8 million residents and tourists. So it's significant in its scope and scale and impact. We also employ 30,000 people. So we have 30,000 artists and arts and culture workers, and half of them work in organizations. About 15,000 work in organizations, and 15,000 are independent artists and creatives and freelancers and contract workers. So it's a significant part of our economy and a major contributor, of course, to our quality of life and the vibrancy of our city. And when all of this happened, we did a quick survey in the middle of March just to get a pulse check on what the impact was. And we learned from that as of March 16th, we had more than 1,000 events, performances, and experiences, classes get canceled. And all of our venues, of course, were closed shortly after that. And so based on that, we also knew from the survey that 95% of our local artists were anticipating significant losses and really a destabilizing of their economic situation, their economic stability. And the same was true for organizations. So more than half of our organizations believed that they would need emergency funding within 1 to 3 months to continue operations, and nearly all of them were predicting layoffs, impacting thousands of individuals. So so that was the landscape at that time, and that's only increased since March 16th when we took that first snapshot. So we took that data to a coalition of community funders who are very deeply engaged in the arts and care deeply about our arts and cultural community. And it was just incredible. Within 2 days, we had commitments to start the Indy Arts and Culture COVID-19 Emergency Relief Fund. And that fund now sits at $300,000 in leadership commitments thanks to the Allen Whitehill Clues Charitable Foundation, CICF, the Crystal DeHaan Family Foundation, the Ephraimson Family Fund, Glick Philanthropies, and the Herbert Simon Family Foundation. And there's also a public GoFundMe component that has raised over $50,000 through a matching grant and a $25,000 public contribution, and then another $30,000 from Visit Indy and a promotion that they did where they sold T-shirts and like Indy Spirit T-shirts, and they raised like $60,000 in 6 days and split that between the United Way's Emergency Fund and the Arts and Culture Emergency Fund. So the fund is designed to help address the immediate and sudden and severe loss of income that so many in our arts and cultural sector have experienced, and help be a bridge of support between those immediate sudden losses and some of the support programs that are coming online and some of the federal benefits and the unemployment benefits. So that's really the goal for it, and thanks to the generosity of the community and how quickly they acted, we're going to be able to support at least 800 of those rapid relief grants.
And those are going out to the community. All of this is going to support people here in Indianapolis.
Yes, I mean, these are directly, every single grant is going to somebody who lives in Marion County or our surrounding counties. And they either need to have worked for an arts and cultural organization and have been laid off or furloughed or just impacted by the COVID-19 crisis and their employment status with their organization, or they are an independent artist or creative working in our community who has lost income as a result of this crisis. And so that's a lot of people who have been impacted and who can benefit from this. So it's a very simple application. We're trying to keep this very simple and streamlined. And all of the information about eligibility and how to apply is available at indykeepscreating.org. So that's where you can learn more about the fund. You can apply online there, and also you can donate if you are in a position and want to help support these relief efforts.
Excellent. And kind of focusing in on the Indy Keeps Creating part of this. Not only is there the fund, there's also this social campaign, online campaign to keep Indy creating. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So at the same time we were doing the impact survey and starting to have these conversations around creating the relief fund, we also were seeing this kind of organic movement starting of artists and arts organizations pivoting quickly and sharing content online. And I think it just speaks to artists and arts organizations and how innovative and adaptive and resilient they are, but also how committed they are to their missions of connecting with our community and helping our, be that source of inspiration for our community, and really helping everyone kind of cope with what's happening. So we were just so inspired by that, and we thought we need a mechanism to be able to help have visibility into everything that's happening across the community, and then kind of create a sense of community within within this work that's happening. So we just came up with, it's really simple, but we came up with Indy Keeps Creating, because that's true. That's exactly what we're seeing. I mean, artists and arts organizations keep fulfilling their mission and keep connecting us through their work online. And so that's just really a platform to honor them and to help the community. We have a aggregator on indykeepscreating.org where you can see everyone that's using that hashtag, and you can see across all of the ways that artists and arts organizations continue to contribute and make their content and their experiences available to the community at this time.
And is this open also for people who want to create with the artist? Is this open to the public?
Absolutely. I mean, anyone is, encouraged to use Indy Keeps Creating, and I think that's one of the beautiful things that we're seeing in this strange time of sheltering in place and everyone being home, is that the Indy Keeps Creating movement is really about creating with you. So there's co-creating happening and sharing happening and lessons and classes, and it's also for you. So, more of our presenting partners and sharing their performances and their, behind-the-scenes tours and all kinds of just insights. But there's also by you, and we want to just encourage people to explore their own creativity and to share that. So I think people are, of course, turning to arts and culture and music, and so much. There's so much to take in to support us through this, and I think there's just a heightened awareness and appreciation for all of that right now, as there should be. But we love seeing people exploring their own creativity as well as part of this.
And one of the things we're seeing across all social platforms, all on media, everything, we're seeing people turning to the arts to combat this, to do this community. And it's amazing to see Indy doing their own as well. Why do you think people turn to art during tough times?
Oh my gosh. Well, artists and the arts have and always will be on the front lines of human expression and hope and healing and reflection and recovery and celebration. It's really a mirror. The arts are a mirror to our humanity, and so I think it's artists and our arts and cultural organizations are allowing us to express and explore all of the dimensions of this experience, and they're helping us to cope. They're keeping us grounded while inspiring us. I think it's all of those things that arts and culture does, and I think it's, thank goodness, that we have it, because you think about how people are turning to music and how we hear so many stories about how music is getting people through this, how film, how all of the content that's available online, and we joke about, binging on Netflix, but if you think about all the creatives, all of the artists that are involved in each one of those experiences, each piece of content that we're engaging with, and then you think about what would our world look like if those creatives and all of the talented people that are making all of that possible didn't have access and exposure to arts and cultural experiences, didn't have arts education experiences, didn't have access to instruction and classes. I mean, what would our world look like? And so, we're just grateful. We're grateful, and we're seeing it around the world. The movements of and generosity of artists. I think when you see global artists giving and doing free performances, and just how we're bringing people together and connecting and inspiring through arts and culture. That's what it always does during good times, but it's especially important right now.
And if anyone wants to stay connected, they can go online to indykeepscreating.org to apply for the grants, to donate to the grants, or they can follow the hashtag as well to follow what Indy is creating.
Yeah, follow and contribute. To your point, I think join us and explore your own creativity, and we'd love to see it.
Excellent. Julie, is there anything else you would like to add?
I think just a thank you to the community. I think we are just really moved and grateful for the support that we've seen for the immediate response and concern for arts and culture, and that's just meant so much to our artists and the thousands of people who've been impacted by this in terms of their work and their ability to support themselves through the arts, and just the continued concern and generosity and support, which is so important. And we share all of that with our friends and colleagues, of course, in the hospitality industry and retail and restaurants and small businesses that have been impacted. So I think just the culture of Indianapolis and caring, and we see that through the In This Together campaign too, as another hashtag. But I think that really does reflect the culture of Indianapolis and Central Indiana and what we're seeing, and we're certainly seeing that in the arts and cultural community. And we just want to say thank you, and we need it, and please continue.
If you want to reach out, or if you have topics you'd like me to cover, you can reach me at Metheny, that's EMETHENY, at radio-1.com. Thank you for listening, and please join me again next week. Until then, have a great week.
Radio Now 100.9's Indy Connection with Emily Metheny.